Hello everyone. Today we're going to clean and fully restore this machine. Let's get started. First, a small screwdriver is used to pry off hardened mud and rust layers from the outer pump casing. Immediately after, a handheld pneumatic chisel with a pointed tip goes to work, breaking down the structure of thick rust on the body. Loosening stubborn bolts is done with a wrench. Then, WD-40 penetrant is sprayed into the threads for lubrication. It is time for the hammer and steel punch to work together to drive out retaining pins, releasing the main shaft system from the frame. The pneumatic chisel is utilized again to vibrate the joints, while more anti-rust oil is added to separate the housing frame. The cylinder bolts are removed using a wrench, allowing the pump core to separate completely from the main load-bearing frame. The pump shaft is securely fixed to the table with a C-clamp, and then a handsaw is used to cut away the damaged connecting pipe. A handheld gas torch is used to heat the oxidized joints directly, making disassembly easier through thermal expansion. The pneumatic chisel takes over the task of cleaning the inner housing, removing old gaskets and deep rust patches inside. Using needle nose pliers and a punch, the safety pins are carefully extracted. Then the support rods are pulled from the structure. After putting on gloves, the brush is dipped into specialized paint stripper to scrub every corner of the components meticulously. A metal scraper is used to sweep away all loose paint flakes and grime stuck on the flat surfaces. The cylinder and gear wheel sit in a black metal tray. He puts on thin nitrile gloves and sprays solution directly into the cylinder interior, reaching into the thread grooves and inner channels. He then scrubs in circular motions along each thread groove with a small toothbrush, a meticulous step because the cylinder contains small mechanical parts that must be fully cleaned before reassembly. Black sludge and rust residue cling to the brush bristles after each pass.
Next is electrolytic rust removal, a professional technique few people know about. He pours clean water into the large plastic tray and dissolves baking soda into it, stirring thoroughly with a metal whisk until fully mixed. All the major jack components, both crossed frame bars, the base plate, are completely submerged in the solution. 2 wires, red and black, are inserted at opposite ends of the tray and connected to a Bosch BC12 battery charger. Once the charger runs, tiny bubbles rise around the metal parts, the electrolytic reaction in progress, with direct current pulling rust ions off the steel surface and into the solution.
Once electrolysis is complete, he lifts each part out of the tray. The surface is now coated in fine black sludge, which is the rust converted into iron oxide and pulled free from the metal. He wipes and scrubs firmly with cloth and brush to clear all the black residue. Underneath is a matte gray metal surface, fully rust-free but not yet polished. The water in the tray has turned murky red-brown, evidence that a significant amount of rust was drawn out of the parts.
This is the surface preparation step before mechanical grinding begins.
Mechanical grinding begins with a sanding disc fitted to the handheld grinder. He lays each frame bar on the workbench and grinds along its length, sparks flying steadily each time the disc contacts the metal. He then switches to a soft cloth polishing wheel and runs it evenly across the surface. The finish shifts from matte gray to bright gray and begins reflecting the workshop light. He flips each bar multiple times, grinding thoroughly on both inner and outer faces, paying particular attention to edges and joint points. He clamps the screw shaft in the bench vise to hold it steady, then runs the handheld grinder with a polishing wheel evenly around the shaft body. Because the shaft is cylindrical, he must continuously angle the grinder so the wheel contacts the entire curved surface uniformly. He then moves to the stationary poly bench grinder, pressing the small connector bar and shaft tip directly against the spinning red grinding wheel. The metal starts reflecting clearly. The shaft body in particular is near mirror finish after polishing. The body filler stage begins. This is a tin of pale yellow filler, the kind commonly used in automotive body repair. He scoops out an appropriate amount with a metal putty knife and spreads it over the outer face of both mainframe bars. The filler is spread along the bar's length with firm pressure to push the compound into pits, corrosion holes, and uneven surfaces left by rust damage. He applies multiple thin passes rather than one thick layer to prevent cracking as the filler cures. A sheet of white paper sits nearby to wipe the putty knife clean between passes.
Once the filler is hardened, he sands the entire surface flat. He puts on black gloves and continues pressing a small component against the red grinding wheel of the Poly POW 500 bench grinder. His left hand holds the part firmly against the wheel spinning at 2950 RPM, while his right hand steadies the contact angle from below. Moving on to color. The main frame bars, already primed white, are laid on cardboard and sprayed with CA brand yellow paint. The coat goes on smooth and even, no drips, no blotches, a result of consistent spray distance and steady hand speed throughout. Once the paint cures, a deep gloss blue emerges under the workshop light, likely the final color after multiple coats. The previously mirror-polished cylinder gets one last wipe down before assembly. The surface reflects the overhead light cleanly. Loctite is applied to the joint points. This is a heat and vibration-resistant compound used to lock threads and seal mechanical fittings, ensuring the jack won't work itself loose over time. The main frame assembly gets underway. The two blue bars are aligned at the cross pivot point, the torsion springs fitted at the pin, and bolts threaded through to hold everything together. This is the most critical joint in the jack. Precision here determines the full range of travel once it's complete. The cylinder is mounted to the frame, and the black mesh-sleeved line is routed through and clamped flush against the frame body. This is the hydraulic, or air line, kept tidy so it won't interfere with the jack's movement. The shape of the completed jack is now clearly recognizable. The final connection points are tightened down one by one. White thread seal tape was applied to the threaded joints earlier to ensure a tight seal. Each small detail is checked and secured. Nothing left loose. The final connection points are tightened down one by one. White thread seal tape was applied to the threaded joints earlier to ensure a tight seal. Each small detail is checked and secured. Nothing left loose.
From an unrecognizable lump of rust, this hydraulic jack looks like it just rolled off a production line.